All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Julius Buyengo, Capacity Development Expert at RCMRD. Welcoming you on board on this course on application of GIS in conservation mapping. And basically, we are targeting the achievement of the target 3 of the GBF, which basically seeks to ensure that we are conserving 30% of the terrestrial and marine ecosystems by the year 2030. So I'll go straight into the module. So basically, this is part of module 1, where we are looking at the conservation challenges, and we'll also introduce the global biodiversity framework targets within the course. This is part 1C of the course, where I'll be presenting or taking you through the biodiversity, talking about biodiversity, and also talking about some of the threats that we're encountering, and also looking at ways in which we can avoid these and ensure that our existing ecosystems are sustainable for future generations. So I'll quickly start with a quick definition of the word biodiversity. And basically, it's a contraction of 2 words, looking at bio. Basically, bio and diversity. And bio looking at basically talking about life on Earth. And diversity concentrating mostly on looking at various forms of life on the Earth's surface. And basically, we are talking about life on the Earth's surface. We are talking about animals. We are talking about plants, different fungi, and other microorganisms that exist within different ecosystems, talking about forests, talking about grasslands, coral reefs, wetlands, among others. So basically, biodiversity, talking about life, and also talking about the interaction between different life forms within these ecosystems. Talking about levels of biodiversity, number 1, talking about there is the genetic biodiversity, where we are basically talking about genes and alleles and the DNS within the different individuals in a species. We have species diversity, talking about different fish species existing within an ecosystem or within an area. There's also ecosystem diversity, talking about different habitats, for example, forests, grasslands, deserts, oceans, among other existing ecosystems in the world. So why are we conserving biodiversity, or why are we rallying towards the conservation of biodiversity? Now, we are doing this because there are benefits that we as mankind or human beings are getting through our interaction with the different forms of biodiversity. Of course, we have health benefits, looking at clean air, trees, or vegetation helping us to filter the air as they absorb CO2 and release oxygen. The vegetations in the high altitude areas act as water catchment areas. They also offer nature-based solutions to climate change through the absorption of carbon dioxide. And you'll find that this biodiversity or these ecosystems also help us in terms of building resilience, in terms of when we are faced with the adverse events like storms and flooding. Of course, we also leverage on these ecosystems for purposes of food security. You'll find that we are benefiting from these ecosystems or from the different species of animals, of plants, of algae and microbials in terms of food and nutrition. We also leverage on the same for purposes of medicine, and also they help us relax our minds when we are tired. So basically, they are good for purposes of jogging our brains, basically trying to look at making sure that mental health is okay. And economics, basically, they help us to resist diseases or shocks. They are good for tourism and recreation. And basically, you'll find that many of us, the experts undertaking this course, we're in the environmental field or biodiversity field, where we are deriving our livelihoods courtesy of the current jobs that we are holding in conservation. So what is the biggest challenge towards biodiversity conservation? And basically you'll find that it's we humans who are the main challenge to conservation. Now in the first century, you'll find that the world had the population estimates of people on Earth was around 300 million. But as we are talking today should be around 5th of August, we are talking about 8.3 billion people. And these people are relying on various resources that we get within the different ecosystems. They are relying on biodiversity for water, for land, for food. And basically you'll find that as the population is increasing, you'll find that we are now venturing into these pristine environments, ecosystems, for purposes of ensuring that we are accessing water, land, food, among other things. So as we venture into these ecosystems, we tend to interrupt the pre-existing conditions, because now you'll find that now we are harvesting the plants, we are killing the animals for food, we are venturing into forests, cutting them down, building up cities, building up houses, building up infrastructure. And as we do this, we are interfering with the natural environment within which they exist. So basically, the biggest challenge to biodiversity is we human beings. And basically, you see that as if you look at the trends in population over time, you'll find that the human population has been rising over the years. So population increase has had adverse effects on existing ecosystems, existing biodiversity. Basically, you'll find that the trends in extinction or trends in the number of species that are existing are reducing basically as our population is increasing. Coming to, as we talk about biodiversity, basically the key challenge here is the loss of biodiversity. And basically, when you talk about biodiversity loss, we are talking about the reduction in genes, reduction in species, reduction in the pre-existing ecosystems as a result of human activities, as a result of human population. And basically, as we venture into these ecosystems, we are reducing them. And we are also introducing other challenges related to pollution, urbanization, deforestation. And you'll find that these activities play a significant role in species loss and then ecosystem degradation, thereby contributing to biodiversity loss. And basically, some of these activities are also key because the activities that we are venturing in for purposes of sustaining ourselves, they are contributing to climate change. As we cut down the forests, as we burn down the savannas, as we release the carbon into the atmosphere, we are contributing to the global warming effect. And this global warming effect increases the temperatures within our ecosystems. And you'll find that this one is having a challenge on our species because they have to adapt to the changing environment. And those ones that cannot be able to adapt, you'll find they end up being extinct. So why is biodiversity loss a problem? We've talked before, in the previous slide, we've talked about biodiversity being a major source of very key resource for mankind. And some of the benefits we highlighted included talking about air, clean air, talked about water, talked about food, medicines, recreation. And also they help us to fight the challenges related to climate. So you'll find that as we lose this biodiversity, we are creating a problem for ourselves because we'll not be able to sustain ourselves with the limited the species, limited genetic resources, limited ecosystems. So basically, biodiversity is key to man's man's life on the Earth's surface. So what are the primary drivers of biodiversity? We have 5 major components talking about habitat destruction, talking about pollution and contamination, talking about climate change, and talking about overexploitation of natural resources, then invasive species. So habitat destruction is as a result of human activities, where we are burning down the ecosystems, cutting down forests, draining wetlands, among other ecosystems within which biodiversity exists. And basically this plays a key role towards the reduction of biodiversity, because as we interfere with their home, they tend to have nowhere to stay. And those who cannot adapt end up losing their lives. Pollution, a key human activity through industrialization, and of course, we are developing synthetic items, goods and services. And these, as we do the production, we are releasing these chemicals into the environment. And these are toxic to vegetation or to habitats. So basically, pollution is a key driver to destruction of our existing biodiversity. Talking of climate change, where we are releasing CO2, carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere. And as this carbon dioxide is released, causing the warming effect, and the warming effect resulting in a number of issues, including the melting of the glaciers or ice at the North Poles or at the poles, resulting in storms, resulting in desertification, among other related challenges. So carbon dioxide as a lot of human activities affecting the temperatures, precipitation, sea levels, thereby affecting the existing life or ecosystems, species living therein. Overexploitation, basically through the increase of our population, the available resources are getting limited, and now we are going for the limited or the extinct or the wildlife or the biodiversity that are scarce. And as we do this, we tend to interfere with their existence, and at some point we'll get into extinction. Invasive species, these are plants, animals, or microbes that we introduce into new environments, and when they come in, they tend to colonize the existing habitats, bringing in new competition, as well as feeding on the pre-existing species. So you'll find that these are threats to biodiversity, and I've highlighted some of them here, like the water hyacinth, Prosopis juliflora, Opuntia. We have the Indian crow, which has been a menace at the Kenyan coast. So these are some of the species that are interfering with our biodiversity. So what can we do going forward in terms of biodiversity? Of course, we are faced with the challenge. What can we do in order to get to the pristine or the previous pre-existing conditions? So we are saying that we are proposing the establishment of more protected areas, and we find that Arsemada is at the front, is a key partner towards the spearheading of the 30 by 30 initiative, where we want to protect terrestrial and marine ecosystems by 30% to the year 2030. We need to create more wildlife corridors so that this wildlife can move, or this biodiversity can freely move. We need to allocate more resources for protecting this biodiversity, including the habitats. Create environmental policies that are friendly to biodiversity. Of course, we are into extractive activities, and we are talking about doing extractive activities in a sustainable manner. Talking of agriculture, talking about fishing, among other activities, including mining and wood harvesting. We also need to act towards on climate change by reducing our carbon emissions. so that we don't contribute to the, reduce our contribution towards the global warming effect. Towards the end of the third session, we have a rallying call, and basically we are saying that biodiversity is our greatest priceless treasure, and kindly let us conserve it together. Thank you very much. Requesting that we continue interaction on the RCOE, Regional Center of Excellence Community platform. Those are the links. Any questions, please forward them to the community so that we can act on them.